Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I wanted to sit down and talk through some of my 5-star predictions on my current physical TBR as of June 2023. I've recently done a massive book haul, which I'll link up above and down below for you. It was my birthday, so I got gifts very kindly sent to me, and I just spent a lot of money on books to treat myself. So there's a lot of brand new kind of babies in my possession that I think will potentially be 5 stars, and then there's also some TBR vets in this list as well that I know I'm gonna love. They're from favourite authors. The plots sound incredible, but I'm just putting them off because I know they're gonna be 5 stars and I'm not ready for them yet. If you know, you know. So I'm going to sit down and talk through 5 of my 5-star predictions off my physical TBR. I wanted to do this because I've recently read a lot of good books, but this year I haven't really read many amazing brand new favourite books. I can list out a few kind of like all-time favourites, and that's fine, that's great. But I've read 33 books so far this year. I'm hoping to do the mid-year book freakout tag in the next week or so you'll see kind of like a more in-depth of my stats so far this year in that video. But I've read 36 books so far, and I can only really pinpoint 2 or 3 that have really stood out for me that aren't rereads, that are kind of like new favourites. And because I'm using the core pile system, I am rating books kind of more critically, but that also means I'm giving 5 stars out, but when I think back to them, I don't think of them as like favourite books. So I don't know if the core pile system really works for me, because I'm rating books 5 stars and then in a month, 2 months time, I'm like, what have I read recently? And therefore for me that doesn't mean it's 5 stars. So I think I need to go back to gut reaction reviews and ratings, because then that truly means it's a 5-star book for me. So I can only really pinpoint 2 or 3 5 stars, and I want some more 5 stars this year. So I decided to sit down, keep myself accountable, tell you 5 books I think are going to be 5 stars, and then once I've read them all, I'll come back and react to this video and kind of see if I was right or wrong. I'm really hoping I am right. So without further ado, in no particular order, let's start with the first book I think is going to be 5 stars, and that is from a favourite author of mine, Mike Gale. The Legendary Girlfriend by Mike Gale is definitely a book I think is going to be 5 stars. I've read 2 of his books, both being backlist. I have yet to read any of his like new releases, which kind of daunts me a little bit. I've recently picked up one of his newest releases and I'm excited to get to that one as well, but I haven't put it as a 5-star because I want to read this one first. So creating this video and putting this book on the list will make sure that I read it as a higher priority, because it's been on my TBR since last year. I got it at Yauk. So this book's been on my TBR for almost a year, maybe over a year now, and it's about time I get to it. I know it's going to be 5 stars. The plot sounds like right up my alley. It's by my favourite author, or one of my favourite authors, and I just know it's going to be 5 stars. This book basically follows our main character, Will. Mike Gale definitely writes in the male perspective. Obviously, I read a lot of romances, so it's quite nice to get that little like different point of view in terms of like a male perspective book. So it follows our main character, Will. He's an English teacher, a film fan, a pot noodle expert, and an ex-boyfriend. And this is kind of where the plot really begins, because he's just lost the one that he thought was going to be like his forever, but he's still in love with her. However, he's kind of on a mission to find if there is another of the one out there for him. He's quite a lonely character, and he uses his phone as kind of a lifeline to reach out to some of his favourite people. His best friend Alice, who always remembers his birthday. His friend Simon, who doesn't remember his birthday. Martina, who was the one-night stand. Kate, who is the previous tenant, and his ex, Aggie, who he believes is his legendary girlfriend, or is she? And I think it's basically just a book kind of following his journey in kind of like hoping that him and Aggie kind of reconnect and get back together, or whether he kind of finds a new girlfriend who is just as legendary as this kind of famous Aggie. So it sounds like a very mundane plot, but I love Mike Gale's writing style, so I have high expectations that this is going to be a 5 stars. The next book I have on this list, I really hope it's 5 stars because everyone is raving about it, and that is Beth O'Leary's The Noshow. I have read 2 of Beth O'Leary's books before. I've read The Flatshare, which I rated a really high 4 stars, really enjoyed it, was excited to read her other stuff. The Switch kind of never really appealed for me. And then I also read The Roadshow, which plot and premise wise really appealed for me, but kind of fell a little bit flat in terms of execution, which I gave a 4 stars, I believe. However, Everyone is raving about Noshow, and as soon as I heard about this synopsis before the book was released, I knew I had to give it a go. It took me ages to get my hands on it, and I'm so happy that I finally have a paperback version of it because I'm much more of a paperback reader than a hardback. It really, really frustrates me when romances get released in hardback first because I'm like, I want to read you, but I don't want a hardback. But this one finally came out in paperback. I finally got my hands on it, and this book basically follows three main characters, Siobhan, Miranda, and Jane, and they all have dates on Valentine's Day, I believe. However, all three of their dates don't turn up, and you find out that Joseph is all three of these people. He's kind of got this like weird persona going on, and I think it's kind of like these three girls kind of get together when they realise they've all been kind of stood up by the same man and kind of go on this mission to kind of figure out why. And I've heard incredible things about this book, and from people I trust as well, have rated it 5 stars, so I have high hopes. I do love Becky Leo's writing style, so it's going to be another one of those. I trust their writing style, I trust their kind of premises and their plots. I just kind of hope this story is for me, and I have a feeling this one definitely will. And another one of my favourite authors, Lindsay Kelk, has blurbed this book, so I have even more high hopes. Lindsay Kelk said, a real uplifting gem, utterly heartwarming, and a total page turner. And I have definitely heard that from some of my favourite reviewers as well. So this one's definitely a 5 star. Hopeful, anyway, fingers crossed. The next one I have is a last book of a series. So hopefully I can read this soon and complete a series. It's a companion series, it's a romance series, and I absolutely adored the first one. Like 5 stars, new favourite. No one talks about this series whatsoever. If what I'm about to tell you intrigues you, I highly recommend giving it a go and picking it up because I think it's so underrated. And the second one didn't do it as much for me. I didn't love kind of the main characters in the companion series, but the third one, the setting, the characters, and I know how much I love the writing style and how steamy these books are, totally up my alley. I'm really hoping this is a 5 star, and that is Booked on a Feeling by JC Lee. The first one that I was talking about and raving about is A Sweet Mess by JC Lee, which is kind of like following accidental kind of bakery situation where our main character is always told in dual perspectives, by the way, these books. So you have our main character Aubrey, who is a owner of a bakery shop, and you have a food critic called Landon, and they accidentally kind of like bump paths, have a one night stand, and they don't realise who each other are when Landon really negatively reviews Aubrey's bakery, and then he has to try and fix it from there when he realises he has feelings for her. And the steam, oh, it's incredible. That book is so good. I highly recommend it. This is the third book in this series. The Dating Dare is the second one. Like I said, wasn't a massive fan. However, this one, if you can just tell from the pun in the title as well as the cover, this one's set at a bookstore. So I have high hopes that this is a 5 stars for me. Fingers crossed. This one follows Lizzie. I don't know how she fits into the companion series because in the Dating Dare you followed Landon's brother, but I'm not sure where Lizzie kind of fits in. It's been a while since I read the first 2, but you can read them separately, so I'm not too worried about that. But this one basically follows our main character Lizzie, who has her life planned out. I feel like a lot of romances start this way, and then kind of like the love interest kind of like completely derails their plan. She's about to kind of tick off her last big bucket list moment and become a partner in her law firm when she has a panic attack during a really important meeting, which kind of then in her law firm's eyes, she doesn't seem fit and ready for this position. So her life kind of gets turned upside down. What Lizzie decides to do then is go back to her small childhood home and kind of reset, recharge, and that is where she rekindles her friendship with Jack Park, who was her best friend in her childhood, like during the summers. You get Jack Park's perspective as well, and Lizzie's has been his crush for forever, and they start to like rekindle things when they both start working in the local bookstore that needs a bit of love and attention. And I think this one sounds so cute, like a bookstore, romance, childhood friends. It sounds so good. The next one is a little bit more serious and definitely not a romance, but another one of my favourite authors. A lot of the time, 5 stars for me usually come from authors I've read from before because I know I like their writing style. It's very hard for me to kind of like predict a 5 stars if it's from an author that I haven't read from before because I don't know kind of how they write stories, how their characters are developed, and obviously a main thing for me in reading and what I enjoy most in books is character development. So usually 5 stars are very much based upon their character development and how much I connected to characters. I can't ever really predict 5 stars from authors I haven't read from before. So this is another one that I've read from before. Absolutely loved some of their books. This is Frederick Bachman's next book I have on my physical TBR. There's only one blip when Frederick Bachman, and I didn't like Beartown, but I forget about that book. That's fine, I don't mind. But the other books I've read from him, A Man Called Uwe, Anxious People, and Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, Have I read any others from him? I don't think I have. I think those are the 3 I have read. Anxious People I gave a 4.5. A Man Called Uwe and Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer I both gave 5. This is the next one I have to read from him, and I want it to be 5 stars because it's Frederick Bachman and I love his writing style and I love his characters, and this one seems very, very character driven. This one basically follows our main character Elsa, who has a grandmother who is, in everyone's eyes, kind of eccentric, if not crazy. But however, Elsa really looks up to her grandmother and thinks she's a superhero. I believe the grandmother then dies and Elsa is left with a series of letters that her grandmother has written, kind of explaining her life story and the paths that she's gone down and the people she's met along the way. And this book basically follows Elsa reading all these letters and kind of figuring out who her grandmother really was. And whilst doing that, Elsa goes on a journey of self-discovery herself. So it sounds really, really interesting, highly up my street, and I'm just hoping this is a 5 stars. The only reason I haven't got to it yet is I feel like this is a very kind of like wintry book. I feel like it's one of those books where you can curl up in the evening with a cup of tea or hot chocolate and just kind of like absorb yourself into another world and just like feel all nice and cozy. That's what Frederick Bachman really kind of emulates for me. So I've been putting this off to hopefully read this winter, whereas all the other ones are kind of like summary contemporary romances, so I can read those hopefully soon. But maybe I'll give this one a go in like autumn so I can get the second part of this video up sooner rather than later. The 5th and final book I have on my TBR goes against everything that I just said in terms of usually my 5-star predictions are from authors I've read before and loved. However, the hype has got to me on this one and the synopsis is so intriguing to me because I can personally connect to it on a whole new level that I feel like a lot of reviewers and a lot of people can't. And therefore I'm just so intrigued to read it and kind of see my view and my take on it. And that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And the reason I picked this book up and I believe it's going to be 5 stars is not only is everyone is raving about it, everyone is raving about it, everyone is loving it, which is a great sign. I don't do well with hyped books, but the reason I believe this is going to be 5 stars is because of the synopsis. The synopsis basically follows our main character, Brianna, who is a doctor, but her life is kind of in a bit of a turmoil. She's just got divorced. The promotion that she wants is kind of out of reach. Her kind of work rival is also going up for it. It's one of those typical romances. However, the thing that really, really intrigued me is her brother is also looking for a kidney donor. And I've had a kidney transplant. I've been on the journey of finding a kidney donor myself, so I'm really, really intrigued to kind of see that aspect of the story and see how realistic it is, because there aren't really many books about kidney donors and kidney transplants in the fictional world of romance. This one has really, really captured my attention and I just really, really hope it does the whole subject justice. So fingers crossed on that behalf. But continuing on with the synopsis, Brianna then kind of gets together with her work rivalry, who's about to take her promotion, I believe, but then he also ends up being the perfect kidney match for her brother, and kind of like a romance ensues from there, I believe. I don't want to know too much more about it. I do kind of want to go into it with an open mind and really see kind of what my views are because of the sensitive topic it addresses and kind of my personal journey with that as well. So that's my last 5-star prediction for this video. So to quickly recap, Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, Every Morning, nope, wrong one. My Grandma Sends Her Regards and Apologies by Frederick Bachman, Booked on a Feeling by J.C. Lee, Noshow by Beth O'Leary, and My Legendary Girlfriend by Mike Gale. Those are the 5 books off my current physical TBR that I believe will be 5 stars. I'm very, very picky when it comes to 5 stars, so I'm really, really hoping all these are brand new all-time favourites. Fingers crossed. If you know my reading taste, let me know in the comments down below if you feel that any of these are going to be 5 stars for me. Have you read any of these? What were your ratings? Let me know in the comments down below. Spoiler free, of course. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up and subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do anything from weekly reading vlogs, monthly TBRs, monthly wrap-ups, and any other fun bookish content. I usually have it on this channel, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. And without further ado, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.